Hello, everybody.
Glenn's
Welcome
taking my card.
to Cut.
What a wonderful start.
All right,
guys. This episode brought to you by Bounty. Bounty, clean up the spills that no one
my card.
clean up. We are not sponsored in any way by Bounty or Mike's Hard. We just want to make that obvious. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Don't Shoot the Messenger. As always, I'm your host, Glenn, here with JR Swish, the Henny God, and what was that? That's the only thing you get, Loso. You don't get a nickname or anything else.
He must be gone off that Mike Hard.
All right, so we're going to cut Loso out of the show today. It's going to be just me and JR since he wants to be this way. I'm just kidding. Once again, Stoss is not with us. He is either at work or seeing his grandma. We don't know.
To a better place.
No, don't say that. He's not dead.
He went to a better podcast group.
I meant the academy.
He betrayed us. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start, guys. As always, we're going to start with the NFL. And oh, by the way, to anybody listening to this, at the end of the episode, we're doing a couple of new segments, so stick around for that. It's going to be really fun. Anyway, we're going to start in the NFL, as usual. Marvin Lewis has more lives than any cat I've ever met. Somehow, still the Bengals head coach, got a 2-year contract extension. What exactly kind of dirt does this guy have on the front office to keep getting these contracts? So what's going on?
I said it in the group chat. I don't think I'm going to say it again on.
Yeah, we need to keep this PG at least.
PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13 at the very least.
He has to have some skills in the rooms in which the owners sleep or something like that.
Yes.
I don't know. He can't control them. He can't win. He doesn't want a playoff game. They don't want to win. They're garbage. They might as well hire Jeff Fisher and have co-head coaches. And go 7-9.
I'd like to see this push forward. Can we start a petition?
Jeff
Send it to the NFL for co-head coaches Jeff Fisher and Marvin Lewis. Forever will be 7-9.
The Bengals should just combine with the Browns, call them Bengals or the whatever. They're the two worst run franchises. Stupid.
Bold statement there, but Jared, what about you? I mean, I'm sure you love to hear this news. It pretty much guarantees the Steelers will continue controlling the AFC North for at least 2 more years. You don't have to worry about the Bengals.
And that's it for what JR has to say.
Yeah, JR's too busy with his popcorn to focus on the podcast, y'all.
No, this is the Bengals' response to their fans. Goes a little something like this. Hold on. Let me be sure this will start. Oh, wait. What the hell am I doing? Why am I doing that? I have it on my...
We don't know what you're doing.
Let's hear it, though. I want to hear their...
This is the response, the Bengals' response to their fans crying.
Okay. We're going to get copyrighted.
That's the Bengals.
Oh my God.
Please don't sue us or take us down for copyright reasons. We're all broke.
We're good, Glenn. It wasn't even 30 seconds.
Little Uzi don't even care. He's a good guy.
My goodness.
Word.
I'm out here nervous. He's like, I'm too white to go to jail.
I can't afford a good lawyer, all right? I got to represent myself in a court of law.
What do you think, though, Glenn?
I think it's a stupid move that's just going to keep the Bengals exactly where they are, stuck in mediocrity. Like you said, Loso, he can't control any of these guys. He doesn't demand any discipline or accountability from his players. He doesn't know how to get the best out of the talent that's on that roster. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, I feel like for as long as we live, Marvin Lewis will be the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, and they will continue missing the playoffs. I mean, Jesus is going to come back before the Bengals win a playoff game. Let's just be honest here.
If they didn't extend Lewis, who would you see them aiming? They were definitely better candidates, right?
Oh, no question. Steve Wilkes has been the biggest name coming up here lately, defensive coordinator at Carolina. I know we talked about him last show. I could see them taking a shot on Josh McDaniels. Somebody to get in there and change the whole culture. Because right now, the first thing you think of when you think of Cincinnati Bengals is that idiot hothead Vontaze Burfict trying to tear someone's ACL or knock someone's brain out of his ear or something. Like I said, there's just no accountability. There's no discipline. Nothing. So the Bengals are going to be stuck in mediocrity till the end of time, pretty much.
Could be worse. It could be the Browns.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother topic. I'm talking about how terrible Hugh Jackson is. I mean, God.
They should send Marvin Lewis to Cleveland.
Yeah, they'd get at least 5 wins out, and then they'd have every player suspended. What was that?
I think it was a snap or something.
Okay. Oh, I bet JR is currently receiving very lewd snaps from
some lewd suits.
We can edit that out. It'll be all right. All right. Next topic, gentlemen. Hold on. I got to get my list. I'm sorry. I got to get my lists. Here we go. Changes. Green Bay. A lot of house cleaning going on there. The GM has stepped aside, and so they'll be trying to find
me by surprise.
Yeah, it caught me by surprise too. But not only that, they fired Dom Capers, the defensive coordinator, which was long overdue. They moved on from their offensive coordinator, their quarterback coach, their defensive line coach, their inside linebackers coach. So they're pretty much cleaning house at this point. Obviously, trying to shape up that franchise for the future and hurry and get Rodgers, or at least try to get Rodgers another ring, because this guy ain't getting any younger. He's, 33?
No, 35, I think.
35 and overrated. Yes, he is.
35. Holy cow. All right, but I mean, Loso, what do you think? Do you think that all these changes the Packers are making are going to pay off big dividends, or are we going to continue seeing a team that's solely carried by Aaron Rodgers?
I think it doesn't matter who's running the show. I feel at the end of the day, Rodgers runs the show. It doesn't matter who's coaching, who's managing, who's coordinating. It's going to be Aaron, and I can save them. Just barely. It's going to be the overrated Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got rid of Ted Thompson mostly because he was always like an in-house guy. He didn't really go out.
Well, they didn't get rid of him altogether. He's stepping into a new role in the organization. Now, what that role is, I have no idea, but he's no longer the GM. That's all we know right now.
It's probably so. I'm assuming he's lost some personnel like control and stuff like that. I think a lot of it has to do with him being a guy who never wandered off to free agency to add some pieces. And with the team that now getting old, everything he's built getting old, I think they need somebody that's willing to actually venture out into free agency to get some help for Aaron Rodgers.
And they really haven't hit on any major draft picks in recent years.
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean,
and they let like Casey Hayward. They let Casey Hayward leave. So
right, and to be honest with you, I completely forget Casey Hayward was a Packer at one point. But Yeah, Clinton Dix is probably the only draft pick that they've really hit on the past few years. And to be honest with you,
especially on defense, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest with you, has completely, well, not completely, but he fell off a little bit this year, to say the least. The Packers secondary is one of the worst in the NFL.
The only thing I'm in is this Packer defense.
Ha ha ha! All right, well we're cutting the episode short now. Thanks a lot, Loso. But in all seriousness, the Packers have to have, like you said, Loso, someone who's going to go out there in free agency and retool this team. Because, well, I mean, what do you think, JR?
Like I said a minute ago, they really haven't. The only guys they kept were a few guys that retain their own players, but they don't sign anybody in free agency, and they haven't hit on anybody in the draft in the past few years besides probably Clinton Dix and Devontae Adams.
Right, and they recently extended Devontae Adams' 4-year deal.
One or two offensive linemen.
Yeah. Anybody have anything else to add about the Packers before we move on?
Most overrated team in NFL.
Let them clean house and see where it takes them. I don't know. It's not going to change anything instantly. So.
Jordy's old. Devontae Adams is good. I think he's actually the best wide receiver on that roster.
No question.
And I'm glad he's finally getting some love like he deserves.
Yeah, but I would have rather had to let him walk and then end up in Carolina with Cam Newton. That would have been wonderful. But one can dream, right?
Yeah. We all dream about those roster moves to our team.
Alrighty. We're going to move on to our next topic. Hall of Fame finalists have been announced in the NFL. They're the 15 finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2018 are Tony Baselli, Isaac Bruce, Brian Dawkins. What?
I said, whoa.
Alan Faneca, Steve Hutchinson, Joe Jacoby, Edgerrin James, Ty Law, Ray Lewis, John Lynch, Kevin Maway, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Brian Urlacher, and Everson Walls. So what do you guys think? Who do you think, JR, we'll let you start here. Who do you think makes the Hall of Fame this year?
How many make it? Like 4?
5, I think.
4 or 5?
I think it's... sorry, guys. I accidentally hit the play button on my porn video. Just kidding. I'm on NFLs.com's website reading these candidates out. I want to say 6 or 7 is the max.
And they cut it down to what, 15 right now?
Right? Yeah, there are 15 finalists right now.
Yeah. And then they'll cut. There's another cut down date somewhere along the lines. I forget. But if it's, I gotta find the exact number of guys that make it each year. I think it's like 4.
Well, who are your locks? Who are your locks to get in? Who do you automatically have in no matter what?
I gotta figure out the name or the mount first.
Well, no, you know Ray Lewis.
Well, yeah, Ray Lewis is.
Randy Moss is getting in.
The biggest lock. Is this Randy Moss's first year on the ballot?
I believe so.
Do you think he gets in first ballot? Because this is okay. No, listen. This is Terrell Owens' 3rd year. He still has not gotten in.
Well, yeah, but T.I. has a lot of people off the field who don't like him, including the Hall of Fame committee.
Okay, but and I get that, and I get that that's probably a big reason why he hasn't made it in. But to me, that's a stupid reason. He should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. There were very few game changers throughout the NFL at that position like Terrell Owens was.
Yeah, it's 5.
I agree. He's my favorite wide receiver of all time.
So 5 finalists.
Yeah.
Or 5 final people. All right. So
for 5. Oh man, there's so many receivers. I don't shit.
I don't think Bruce makes it this year.
Probably I don't either.
I
think Isaac Bruce was great, but
too many receivers this year.
Ray Lewis, Randy, Urlacher.
Yep.
I want to throw an offensive lineman in there, but I'm probably go Brian
Boring.
Dawkins.
Nah, fuck
No,
Dawkins. Dawkins?
I'll probably go Brian Dawkins 4, and then 5 would be either Alan Faneca or Steve Hutchinson. One of those.
You're not taking T.O.?
Or John Lynch. I said, I said G. No, I didn't say T.O. because I don't think they're gonna put T.O. in again. I think they're gonna keep hoeing him.
Year after year, it's got to end sometime.
I mean, yeah, it does, but I don't know when they're gonna end that necessarily. But I think it would be either Ray Lewis, Randy would be the two locks, Urlacher as well. Then
Yeah, Urlacher's
toss
definitely
up
getting in.
between Dawkins and John Lynch. I don't think John Lynch is gonna make it first ballot. I wouldn't be
Me
shocked
neither.
if both of them missed it the first ballot because
Who, Dawkins and Lynch?
yeah,
I don't think either of them make it first ballot.
I wouldn't be shocked if one of them made it though. Because other than that, those two out of everybody else left. I mean, you have T.O. I could put T.O. at 4 and then put I don't know.
I can tell you who's not getting in this year. Everson Walls is
Glenn
not getting
Lewis.
in. Glenn Lewis is not getting in. But neither is Carlos Hoyos. But Tony Baselli's not going to make it. Isaac Bruce is not going to make it. Steve Hutchinson, Joe Jacoby, Edgerrin James, Kevin Moe, and Everson Walls. They will not make it. Those are 7 right off.
This is my question. What percentage of votes, or how does it work for you to be reelected the next year? You need a certain percentage of votes to be re-entered the next year, right?
I think I just read that somewhere.
You also needed a certain percentage of votes to win the presidency, but we're not going to talk about that.
Well, that percentage didn't really matter to anyone. Well, to anyone, I mean the country. I mean, the country.
We're not going
to reduce the law.
All right, moving on. Moving on. Loso, what do you think? Who are your 5 finalists?
Rand University.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Urlacher. The murderer.
Mm-hmm.
The murderer. I'm going to say T.O. I got to say T.O.
You think T.O. finally gets in this year?
I think so. He's the second best wide receiver of all time.
Whoa, relax, pal. Relax. Second best of all time.
Yeah, behind Jerry Rice.
No. Relax.
I mean, it's fact.
No. Randy Moss was way better than Terrell Owens.
I don't know about way better. I can understand if you think he's better. If you're mistaken to think he's better.
No, there's no if you tell people, you ask anybody, any football fan, who was better, Randy Moss or T.O.? They're going to take Moss.
No, it's T.O.
They're going to take Moss.
Nah.
We talked, okay, I said that T.O. was a game changer at wide receiver. Moss was 3 times the game changer that T.O. was.
Nah.
He might not have had that personality that T.O. had, but Randy Moss is no question the second best receiver ever next to Jerry Rice.
I'll take him third. I'll take him third.
I will sit here and argue with you about this until Kingdom Come. There's no way you can say T.O. is better than Moss with a straight face.
Well,
There's no way.
I don't see why not.
This man, Lord, this man. I pray for this man.
Well, what makes you so sure? What makes you so sure that Randy Moss is better?
Did you watch football in the 2000s when T.O. and Moss were in the league, tearing it up?
Yeah, they both were, weren't they?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Did you watch both of them? And you seriously think that T.O. was better?
Yep.
How? What does T.O. have that sets him apart from Randy?
Almost 100 more receptions, 700 more yards. 3 less touchdowns. And the same span of a career. And I'd say Randy Moss had better quarterbacks throughout his career.
Randy Moss when Culpepper was
Culpepper. That's Tom Brady.
Culpepper.
What's T.O. have? Tony Romo?
Steve Young?
Are you really going to disrespect Tony Romo?
He's good at his job now.
Tony Romo was a great quarterback, too.
He was a good quarterback.
He was a great quarterback.
Yeah, he was a good quarterback. For a minute.
For what? For like a year?
What?
I don't remember.
3? For 3?
Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, but did Randy Moss not play with the GOAT?
Trying to see how long he had him here for.
He played 1 year with the GOAT. And in that year...
No, he didn't play 1 year, did he?
He played 1 year.
Randy Moss did not play 1 year.
He played 1 year. Listen to me. He played 1 year with Tom Brady.
The record-breaking year? That was not the only... Was it really the only year?
Yes. He played 1 year with Tom Brady. And in that 1 year, when he finally...
He played more than one, but they only...
But that record-breaking year, he finally had a quarterback that could hit him consistently on that deep ball. He finally had that guy.
And he still didn't win a ring.
Yeah, because of David Tyree. Because David Tyree decided he was going to make the greatest catch of all time.
Hey, shout out to him. It's his 37th birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, David Tyree and Eli Manning. Happy birthday, guys.
Great play, guys. They're
great play. Combined 75 years between the two of them. Holy crap.
T.O. played 3 years. 3.5 years with Steve Young, apparently.
Led the league in receiving touchdowns 3 times. 5-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. This guy's amazing. I'd definitely take him over Randy.
I love T.O. I think he was a great receiver, and I think he's one of the greatest receivers of all time. But there's no way I'm taking him over Randy Moss. If you're giving me an NFL team right now, and you're giving me my choice of who do you want at receiver, you can have Randy Moss or you can have Terrell Owens. I'm taking Randy Moss. Are you kidding me? Randy Moss does everything better than
more of an explosive playmaker.
Exactly. And the other thing is this. I know that they didn't play in today's NFL. I get it. But in today's NFL, when you need that explosive difference maker like Antonio Brown.
Robert Woods.
Or Robert.
This guy.
We're gonna move on. Well, no, hold on. We need to list our finalists.
So T.O. is my 4th.
Okay.
So it's T.O., Urlacher, Moss.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Lewis and
Ray Lewis. I'm going with Lynch.
Interesting.
Taking Lynch 5th.
Interesting. All right. My 5. Ray Lewis, obviously. T.O., Randy, Brian Urlacher, and John Lynch. I'm going to go with the same 5, Loso.
Interesting. I like it. I'm glad we can agree on something.
Yeah, we can agree there. That's fine. JR, what do you think? Same 5?
I already said my 5.
Well, we kind of got into an argument over Randy Moss and T.O., and I completely forgot who you said. But regardless, you said it, so we're going to move on. Carson Palmer, after 12 years in the NFL, calling it quits. Long career, obviously, started with the Bengals. Slow clap for Carson Palmer. I think he's earned it.
I think he ran out of nerves or something.
His time with the Bengals was solid. Very, very disappointing stint with the Raiders. Went to the Cardinals, revived his career with Bruce Arians and Larry Fitzgerald. 2015, the incredible campaign before he ran into one of the greatest teams of all time that never won a ring. 15-1 the Carolina Panthers, and Cam Newton absolutely destroyed that Cardinals team. And Palmer had all right, relax.
One of the greatest teams of all time with Philly Brown.
Yeah, the guy the guy that Cam Newton made look like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens. Yeah, those guys.
One of the greatest teams of all time. They had Philly Brown and Ted Ginn. You muted yourself, kid. You're muted. Glenn,
you muted yourself.
Whoops! I got hit with the mute button. You're telling me that
Go ahead, Glenn. That was a good idea. I like the conversation. Whenever you say something as dumb as what you just said, you get the mute button for some time.
We're not around the horn. And no,
Tony Reality muted himself over here.
So anyway, Carson Palmer. Going back to Carson Palmer. Solid career. 12 years in the league. At his prime, a great quarterback. To me, not even close to being a Hall of Famer, though, and I think that's a question in anybody's mind. Can Carson Palmer make the Hall of Fame one day? No. All respect to him. He did something that a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL can't do. Came back from devastating injury, balled out. Unfortunately, his time with the Raiders wasn't very successful, but like I said, went to the Cardinals. Great time with them. So, what thoughts on his career, Loso?
Well, let me start it off with a question.
Okay.
Does Tony Romo have a better chance at being a Hall of Famer than Carson Palmer does?
I don't know. It might be about even.
Yeah, I'd say it's about even too. Personally, I would take Romo over Palmer, but
yes.
Don't get me wrong.
I mean, if you look at the numbers, though, I'm taking.
Palmer 12th all time in both passing yards and passing touchdowns. By the way.
Mm-hmm. From my understanding, he played on much less talented teams.
He did. Now he did play with the great Ocho Cinco in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But overall, obviously in Oakland he was terrible. We're going to completely omit that part of his career. But in Arizona, he played with some pretty great teams.
He had the great Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, but you also got to remember, before you guys started your little laughing fit, 2015 was a great year. I mean, if it wasn't, I'm not gonna talk about the Panthers, but if it wasn't for a certain quarterback in Carolina, Carson Palmer could have very well won MVP that year.
Yeah, Derek Anderson did play his butt off that couple quarters he played.
All right, you're getting muted. Anyway, but he had a lot of talent around him that year, and unfortunately, really imploded in the playoff game. Was never the same after that. But I mean, that was amazing to watch him in that offense that year. I mean, that was prime Carson Palmer. And I don't know. I think and you can say this about any quarterback really, but I think if the chips had fallen a different way, or however you want to phrase it, Carson Palmer could have won a ring. And if Palmer wins a ring, does that put him in the discussion for Hall of Fame?
Maybe. I don't know. His career was pretty up and down for the most part.
Right.
A lot of highs, a lot of lows. Maybe a little more.
That's what up and down means.
Say what?
That's what up and down means.
No shit. No shit.
I mean, he was good. It's something about him. If you put a different name on him, I think he had more of a chance of playing.
What?
Not really. It's not really anything he could do about it. I don't know. I don't think a ring adds much to him. It doesn't. He had a really easily overlooked career.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that.
He was always a good quarterback, but he always had quarterbacks that were better than him in the league when he was playing. Yeah,
and I think that you can probably say the same for Tony Romo. I know we made that comparison, but
see, I don't think so though. Tony Romo always had the cameras on him because he was in Dallas.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that he didn't play in a league where there were the greatest quarterback of all time was playing at the same time as these guys.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying. Romo had the spotlight on him because he was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
He had a chance to make the name for himself. Palmer didn't get that chance.
Well, to any football fan, we know who Carson Palmer is. We know how good he was. So I can't really sit here and say...
Well, the problem is your everyday football fan probably knows more than a Hall of Fame committee does.
Knows what?
More than what the Hall of Fame committee does. All these people in power and all these committees and all these leagues, half the time they don't know crap. They just look at numbers, they look at papers, and they make...
Yeah, considering how Terrell Owens hasn't made it yet.
My point, yeah.
But anyway, but, hats off to Carson Palmer on a great career. I'd love to see him as an analyst, either on CBS or Fox, NBC, wherever. I feel like he'd be pretty good at that.
Maybe working next to Bruce Arians.
Maybe, and this is kind of the last point I want to make here about Carson Palmer's retirement. We know Bruce Arians retired, Carson Palmer retired. Have we seen the end of Larry Fitzgerald as well?
Nope. He's playing till he's 100.
JR, what do you think? Have we seen the end of Larry Fitzgerald?
No, he'll probably play one more year, at least. I mean, that's what he signed for, I think.
I think it was 2 more years.
Did he add 2?
I believe
so.
1
for sure.
I'm not sure, but I would love to see Fitz. I know he's a Cardinal, but I would love to see him on a team next year just to try and get that ring before he retires. Because Fitz, one of the most underrated receivers of all time.
No, that's a Hall of Famer.
No, I agree. I totally agree. But you mentioned how Palmer, maybe didn't get much of a chance to make a huge name for himself. Fitzgerald's been in Arizona his whole career, so he didn't have that big a spotlight on him. I mean, we talk about Julio, Antonio Brown. We talked about Randy Moss, Terrell Owens. All these guys, but Fitz has been in the league for a long time, has compiled these numbers consistently. A game changer, reliable, just an incredible talent. So I would love to see him be able to get a ring before he retires. That's all I'm saying. Just to kind of put that exclamation point on what was a great career. But we're going to move on to our final NFL topic for today. Kirk Cousins. Where the heck is this guy going? He's 30 years old. Still does not have a playoff win.
He's 30 what?
He's 30 years old. This guy has made a lot of money in just 2 years here in Washington. Does this guy stay in Washington on a long-term deal? Does he get franchise tagged again?
No.
Where's he? Where's it happened to Kirk Cousins? JR, what do you think? Where's Kirk Cousins going?
Probably Denver.
I can see Denver.
I think Denver. They're going to try to recruit him pretty hard, I think. Or so the players were saying. Not sure how much Elway wants to spend most money ever.
Well, they're gonna have to shell out if they want Cousins. They're gonna have to open not just the wallet. They're gonna have to open the whole vault to the bank.
Yeah,
and
it's about to get the biggest deal probably ever. So
yeah, no question. Loso, what do you think? Where's Kirk Cousins going?
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, what would you think about him ending up in Buffalo? You think that would work out?
If they move on from Tyrod, I don't know. Because I know that the talk has been they want to move on from Tyrod Taylor. Personally, I don't
get it.
I don't get it. But I don't even know if Buffalo has the money to offer Kirk Cousins.
Well, I know Nathan Peterman isn't the answer there.
Oh my God! Nathan Peterman's not worth the crap on my shoe.
We knew that all in about one half of football. We found that one out.
Holy crap! But I don't understand. I don't understand the decision to want to move on from Tyrod Taylor. I don't know if I'd see him going to Buffalo.
In New York, I'd also like him. With the Jets, I think would be a nice move for him. I think they have some good weapons, some overlooked weapons because of the crappy quarterback play that they've had for probably the last 35 years.
And there's a good bit of talent on that roster. I mean, Robbie Anderson really
a great receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. Quincy Enunwa is not a bum at
he was hurt this year, but he's a really good player.
He was, and he's a pretty solid wide receiver too. And then
halfback, you have Bilal Powell.
Yeah, Powell's pretty good. They just gotta shore up that offensive line.
Good tight end with Austin Seferian-Jenkins. They have talent on that offense.
Yep. Oh, no question. Now, I'm over here blanking. Who is the receiver next to Robbie Anderson out there starting?
Is it Sharon Peak right now?
Is it who?
Sharon Peak?
No. JR, who's
Jermaine Kearse.
That's it. Thank you, Jermaine Kearse. Yeah, he's been I mean,
good too, yeah.
If you told me going into the season that Jermaine Kearse and Robbie Anderson was going to be a great receiving duo, I probably would have laughed at you.
It's like telling me that Philly Brown and Ted Ginn would take a football team to the Super Bowl.
They didn't. Cam Newton did. But anyway. Look, you had to sit through Jeff Fisher running your team into the ground for years, so I'm going to let you have your fun. But because obviously the Rams are fine now. But so we've got,
Kirk Cousins on the Jets would be nice. It would be a good fit, I feel.
I think so too. The problem therein becomes, how do the Jets free up that cap space? The biggest thing for me, looking at this Kirk Cousins potential mega deal that will rock the future of NFL quarterback contracts. I mean, Kirk Cousins is going to get a contract that makes Derek Carr's and Matt Stafford's look like child's play. Let's just be honest here.
Maybe not Matt Stafford's, but yeah, pretty close.
No, Kirk Cousins is no question going to get the biggest deal in NFL history, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily warranted, but
not at all.
But it is the market that we live in today's NFL.
Kirk Cousins getting paid more than Andrew Luck, and
you have to pay a top 15 quarterback, if that, a huge contract just to keep him. And I personally don't think Washington's going to shell that money out. I don't think they think he's worth it. We've all seen our good friend Johnny all over Twitter screaming and crying about how he doesn't want Cousins back, and he wants them to draft Baker Mayfield. I mean, this kid literally cries at the drop of a hat. Let's just be honest. I know that Sauce has been very adamant about wanting Cousins back, and I can agree with him. He's a franchise quarterback, not amazing by any stretch, but he's a guy who you put the talent around him, he's going to win you the games you need to win.
I'm not with giving Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed. My God.
Oh well, I'm not either. But I'm saying that that's the deal he's going to get, because that's the market the NFL is now in for quarterbacks.
You don't think every team is smart enough to realize that he can have to settle for less?
You're cutting out.
You don't think every team will realize that he's not worth it and he'll have to settle for less eventually?
Yeah, but here's the thing about that is the NFL is a win-now league. There's going to be some team that hits the panic button and is going to give Cousins whatever he wants. Because, look, if you're a team that's in the middle of the road, like say New York, the Jets, for example.
Middle of the road. Must be a really short road. Middle that close to the end.
But I mean, look, the Jets went 5-11. They're honestly a good quarterback away from being a pretty good team. And I could see, and Cousins going there would make a lot of sense. But they're not really in a position to draft, a quarterback. There's other positions that they have to take care of right now. And, you have teams like Denver. Buffalo, if they're going to move on from Tyrod. Teams that are good enough to win just enough games to where they're not going to get the quarterback that they might want. And those teams are going to hit the panic button. You know, there's all this pressure to win now in the NFL, and if there's a chance to, if your franchise needs a quarterback, and Kirk Cousins becomes available, and you have to save your job, you're going to go out and you're going to pay this man. So the market is set right now with the Stafford mega deal, Derek Carr's mega deal. So Cousins is regardless of where it is, whether it be Cleveland, whether it be the Jets, whether it be the Broncos, he is going to make bank. I'm going through all the football teams in my head right now. I think that one team that I think makes a lot of sense, I don't think people are talking about it, the New Orleans Saints. Once, Drew Brees is not getting any younger. He's still a great quarterback. Drew Brees is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he's still doing it, but he's not getting any younger. Can you imagine a scenario where that team has so much young talent? That team, let's just say, they go win the Super Bowl this year, and Drew Brees decides, I'm done. I've got another Super Bowl. I'm going to call it quits. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine?
That sounds way too perfect. That sounds utopian.
Yeah, and I understand that. Who's playing that football? Who's doing that? It must be JR. But I mean, and I am talking about a textbook ending, perfect scenario kind of thing, Loso. But can you just imagine it? I mean, they win the Super Bowl. Breeze retires, rides off into the sunset, and Kirk Cousins steps in.
And they go 6-10 the next year. I can picture that pretty perfectly.
There's no way that bringing in Cousins that goes 6-10, not with that talent around him. Look, I get the criticism about Cousins, but the things that he did this year with literally the entire Washington roster injured. I mean, we talk all the time about quarterbacks doing more with less. Russell Wilson, Cam Newton. We talk all the time about how these guys don't have any help, but they still do amazing things. Kirk Cousins had nobody this year, and he still put up good numbers. He kept them in ball games. Yes, he made mistakes. But I think teams, are going to look at what Cousins has done given the circumstances, and they know as long as they put that team around him, that in their minds they're Super Bowl contenders. So that's all I have to say about that. As Forrest Gump would say, that's all I have to say about that.
So before we move on to the NBA, there's like a 35-second clip I wanted to play, so all the NFL fans can hear it, especially those annoying ass Patriots.
I can't hear anything. Loso, are you still with us?
Ball's thrown and Tyree just goes up for it like a.
JR, can you hear?
I thought it was on the ground. And then he came out of the pocket, just slinging.
Oh, the David Tyree catch.
That's what it was. Loso, your mic kept cutting out. I couldn't hear you, but I could understand. It was the David Tyree catch.
There we go. Yep.
So, so we are finally going to move on to the NBA now. Isaiah Thomas, we talked about how he was coming back for the Cavs in very limited time. He played 19 minutes last night, and in those 19 minutes, he scored 17 points. I mean, he didn't look rusty at all. It was almost stop me if I'm going too far here, but it was almost like watching Steph Curry's return.
No, it wasn't. I'll stop you there.
In terms of efficiency, it was.
It was a good performance.
It was great. It was great for him to only play 19 minutes was amazing. So we obviously know whose team this is, J.R. Smith's. But do you think that Isaiah can really be a big enough difference maker to help the Cavs beat the giant in the NBA, the Warriors?
That was a good save. No, honestly not. I think he'll help. He can get to the NBA Finals, but he's not winning them anything.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying he necessarily wins it for them. I'm saying
he gets them over the hump. Yeah, no, not happening.
You don't think so?
Not at all.
Nope. Just makes them a little bit more competitive.
Yeah, it'll get them to the finals easier. It's not going to help them much against the Warriors. He's outmatched. He's not outmatched by many point guards, but the Warriors point guard, he's definitely outmatched.
Yeah, no question. I agree with you. I think that the Warriors still take the finals in probably 6 games.
Warriors in 3.
All right, relax. But I mean, I agree with you. I think that the Warriors still win the finals in 6 games, but I really think that this duo of Isaiah and LeBron could be so much better than Kyrie and LeBron. I mean, personally, because
in terms of ball movement, yeah, but in terms of pure skill.
Well, I'm not talking about skill. I'm talking about the fit on that team.
Yeah.
And Isaiah is obviously willing to take at least some sort of back seat to LeBron in terms of taking over a game or leadership, or whatever you want to call it. Kyrie obviously didn't want to do that. Kyrie wanted his own team. Kyrie wanted to be the guy. But I don't think Isaiah has any problem with. I mean, LeBron's the king for a reason.
Yeah, I don't think there are many players in the NBA that have a problem taking the backseat to LeBron.
Well, there is one, Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to him in a minute.
And he managed to beat the Cavs there. Well, his team did at least.
Well, we're gonna talk about him here in a second. Anybody got anything else more to say about Isaiah Thomas?
No.
Oh, great player. These are really good players.
Yeah.
He can do his best. Wade the other night, that beautiful dime. He looked good.
Yeah, he looked fine.
But I like how they're not going to play him in any back-to-back games for a bit.
Yeah, makes sense.
Proper way.
Yeah, and I think that's more of a trend we're going to see. We're going to start seeing more in the NBA. I know the Spurs are very popular for resting their players constantly, but I think it's smart. I know we mentioned in the last podcast how they're very slowly working him into the lineup.
You got Steelers blinds? Are those blinds? Sorry.
Not even real blinds. It's just material.
But I love what the Cavs are doing with Isaiah Thomas. And I love him as a player. I'm a huge fan of his. So I think that if something happens, if God forbid something happens in Golden State, somebody gets hurt. I'm not wishing injury on anybody. I would never wish an injury on anybody. But God forbid, if somebody gets hurt, if somebody gets traded, I think Isaiah Thomas and LeBron would just at that point completely take over the NBA. I have a lot of faith in Isaiah Thomas. But going back to Kyrie Irving, we know the trade that shocked the NBA months ago when the bombshell hit. Everyone got a notification on their phone. Kyrie doesn't want to play with LeBron anymore. He wants to be traded. However, we're now hearing that the Cavs were the initial ones who wanted to trade Kyrie right after the finals ended in June. They were looking at options. They were exploring all sorts of different things to trade Kyrie.
They tried to trade Kevin Love. They looked at options to trade Kevin Love too, but
but Kevin Love is not as big a name as Kyrie Irving.
Well, yeah.
It's true. But you know, that comes out, and if it's the truth, I mean, I don't blame Kyrie at all for wanting a trade at that point.
Well, I think it was initiated by his behavior towards being on that team.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that's what started the Cavs wanting to move him. I remember I watched some clip earlier today about how Tyronn Lue was talking to Kyrie about how he needs to open up shots for other players on his team, and he said he didn't really care because that wasn't his job. That job belonged to number 23, in his words.
And I take issue with that comment because you're a point guard. That is literally your job.
Your job is
to open up the floor, get those shots, get your guys in space. Your job is to run the offense. You are the quarterback. And I get, oh, well, that's not my job. That's 23's job. But you're the point guard.
Mm-hmm.
It is your job. What do you do when you're on the floor and LeBron's not? Do you bring the ball up the court and say, hey, LeBron, what play do we run? I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then I don't blame the Cavs for wanting to trade him. I just saw the news that, the Cavs are the one who initiated trade talks. And, personally, if I'm an NBA player and if God forbid some NBA team tried to sign a 5'8" white guy named Glenn Lewis, and that's why I said God forbid. But if there was some way on God's green earth that I made an NBA team and I was playing my heart out for them, and then they were like, "Oh, well, we're going to try to trade you," then yeah, I'd be like, "Okay, well, fine. Then I don't really want to play here anymore because you really don't want me here."
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's a cold world. All weakness, the old saying. But I mean, JR, what are your thoughts on this?
The what?
Oh man! Star of the show, that JR.
Replying to text.
Thoughts? He doesn't have many of those.
JR, we're trying to do a show here, man. Come on.
Yeah, no, I was replying to text, though.
Oh my God. JR, okay. Kyrie.
Cavs, what do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Cavs wanted to trade.
I was listening and then I completely zoned out. What the fuck?
Oh my gosh, this guy.
Because I said they wanted to trade Kevin Love, too, but. Yeah, that's no shock. I mean, I don't know. Kyrie's he's kind of a weirdo. I don't know what the hell's wrong with him.
I mean, for crying out loud, the guy thinks the world is flat.
Yeah, that's his first weird ass mistake. What the hell? I don't know what's wrong with him. He's a great player. He's just a little off the walls with some things he says.
I remember over the summer, it looked like he was about to come to New York, and I could not tell you how happy I was.
I was hyped.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't think there's many teams that wouldn't want Kyrie Irving. A great player, a little off the wall, like you said, with some of the things he says. But I think that Kyrie just wanted to step out of LeBron's shadow in Cleveland. He didn't want to be, overlooked. And I get it, because we always talked about how when things were going well, we would just shower LeBron with praise. Deserved. Granted, deserved. But, people wouldn't talk about the guys like Kyrie or Kevin Love or... Now, we talked about JR Smith because he's the greatest player to ever pick up a basketball. But, constantly getting overlooked, being in the Kings' shadow, I don't really blame Kyrie for wanting out. So, you've got to do what's best for you personally in your career. That's all you can do. But obviously the trade is working out for both parties. Kyrie is playing amazingly on the Celtics. That is his team, no question. And Isaiah Thomas, is coming back from that injury, and he's going to be a great complementary piece to LeBron. So I believe those are the only NBA topics we have for today. That is. So we are nearing the end of the show, guys. But before we end this, we're going to jump into one of our new segments, guys, that we are trying out. It is called I'll Drink to That. We're going to go through a couple topics, a couple opinions, I guess. And we're all sitting here with our various drinks. And
I don't get this game.
You're the one who came up with it. What do you mean?
No. I'm at Fortnite. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. JR is trying to wife down a female. Loso is trying to play Fortnite. I'm just trying to do a podcast.
Jeez. I feel ashamed after hearing what JR is trying to do. My life is pathetic.
Wait, what?
He's over here trying to bag some honeys, and I'm over here trying to figure out how to play Fortnite.
And I'm over here trying to do a podcast by myself, apparently. Jeez Louise. All right. I'll drink to that.
I'll drink to that too.
Yeah. So first one. Greg Popovich recently moved into the 5th on the all-time wins list for NBA coaches. Is Greg Popovich the greatest coach of all time? Is he the GOAT?
Yeah, I'll drink to that. I gotta agree.
I'll drink to that as well.
Possibly.
What? Are you drinking or are you not drinking?
Yeah, you have to choose. Are you drinking or are you not?
Man, I don't have a drink, so I'm not drinking.
No, you don't.
You can't play I'll drink to that and not have a drink. We're not very well prepared for this podcast.
Are you drinking to that, JR, or are you not drinking to the fact that he's the best? It's the best coach of all time.
Is he the greatest coach of all time?
Or not?
No, I'm not drinking right now.
Okay, what? Who's a better coach? Who's a better coach than Greg Popovich all time?
Phil Jackson.
No, stop.
No,
Stop. He has more wins than Phil Jackson.
Oh, God.
How could Phil Jackson rode on the coattails of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant to those championships?
Phil Jackson's the most overrated human being on planet Earth.
Thank you. Phil Jackson is totally overrated.
I mean, I think Pop is a better coach, but I mean.
Then why would you say that? Why
would you Popovich is the greatest basketball coach.
Phil Jackson, just Phil Jackson.
He got the hardware.
Yeah, it's like.
Stop. Just stop.
MJ LeBron, like LeBron's a greater talent because he's done more with probably less at this point. Yeah, maybe a little bit more.
We're not talking about MJ versus LeBron. We're talking about why.
No. I was comparing Phil Jackson and Pop because Pop has done more with less the same way.
Well, not even less.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that Pop has developed. Pop has developed these players too.
Tim Duncan,
you know,
Tim Duncan, but the Spurs aren't the Lakers. That's what we're saying.
Doesn't that make him a better coach?
Absolutely.
That's why I would think he'd be.
Whoa! But what's more? He's won it. But you're saying this like he's won one ring in his career. And he's able to garner up enough strength from all these players.
11, clearly.
Yeah, because you have the greatest player of all time, and then a top 10 player of all time,
a top 20,
and a top 20 player of all time. You've got Kobe and Shaq. You've got Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. If you, as a basic NBA coach, can't win a ring with Michael Jordan on your basketball team, then you're trash. Straight up.
I'm with Glenn on this one, honestly.
How can
Phil Jackson wasn't that good.
I'm saying
he wasn't. And Phil Jackson, to me, absolutely destroyed his legacy with the terrible job he did in New York with the Knicks. I mean, for crying out loud. That was this. I mean, I have never in my life seen
Phil
a
Jackson,
more.
The president, though.
It doesn't matter.
No. That was Phil Jackson, the president, implementing his coaching ways.
Exactly. He wasn't. He wasn't.
It was Phil Jackson the tyrant. That's what it was. It was Phil Jackson the tyrant.
Basically.
Goddamn idiot.
Yeah, I'm with Loso here. I don't understand how anybody could say Phil Jackson is better than Pop at this point. And to say that Phil, and if you're saying that Phil is better than Pop, then you are therefore saying Phil Jackson is the greatest coach in NBA history, and that's asinine at best. I mean, you're out of your mind.
I think I need a drink.
Are you Lamar Odom? Are you on crack?
Yeah. His first job as president of the New York Knicks was to hire
Lamar Odom.
Who was on crack? God. And I think he gave some of that crack to Phil Jackson.
He must have. And he must have given some to you, too, for you to think that Phil Jackson is on Popovich's level. Come on.
Stupid ass massive bullshit.
Man, that's what the consensus would think. Like, majority of people would probably say Phil Jackson.
No, there's literally 3 people here, and the majority are saying Greg Popovich.
Including you. Yeah.
That's only us. I'm saying majority of people will say Phil Jackson.
No, they won't.
So what you're telling me is 99% of our viewers are dumbasses.
What viewers?
You're insulting our audience now, JR. Way to go.
All right, this is getting edited out.
Yeah, for real. Oh, my gosh. I just don't get it, man.
All right.
Yeah, same. All right, next topic for I'll drink to that. A bunch of the top NFL draft prospects have declared for the draft, as we knew. I'm going to make a bold prediction. The Browns draft Josh Rosen with the first pick. Will you drink to that?
Nope. It's like handing me a Mike's Hard Lemonade. I'm definitely not drinking to that at all. Not at all.
Who are they drafting first overall?
Saquon Barkley, number 1.
Oh, no.
Josh Allen, number 4.
No, Josh Allen isn't going to go to number 4. What do you mean? No.
I'm not saying these are good choices. You're acting like we're talking about a good NFL franchise here.
All right.
We're talking about the Cleveland Clowns, right?
All right, I'll give you that, but there's no way they take Saquon first overall. Come on, man. Like, if they weren't stupid enough to take Johnny Manziel first, now I know they took him in the first round, but if they weren't stupid enough to take Johnny Manziel with the first overall pick a couple years ago, then they're not going to take
Saquon Barkley, like, outside of position, the most talented player in this draft? Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're going to take him.
All right.
They're taking a quarterback. It's whether it's Josh Allen, Josh Rosen.
They have the 4th pick. They have the 4th pick.
Yes, and with that, if they want Saquon, they can get him because the Giants aren't going to take him.
What do you mean? Why not? Why wouldn't the Giants take him?
Why would the Giants take him? The Giants need a quarterback. The Giants need a line. The Giants need a lot of things. They need a head coach.
Exactly. And with the amount of quarterbacks they're going to be in free agency, they can afford to take a halfback.
Well, it depends. Yeah.
It won't matter. Why would they take a quarterback when they don't have a line? Or I'm not a quarterback, a running back. Why would they take a running back if they don't have a line? You
can address the line later on.
Yeah, but you're basically throwing a kid into the fire if you're going to draft him with no line.
If Barkley doesn't go 1, he goes 2.
Why not Kirk Cousins to the Giants?
Because they already have all those contracts tied up.
Yeah.
With that defensive line.
So where are you taking Saquon? If he's not going number 1, 2,
probably like 4.
I could see the Browns taking him at 4, but they're not going to take him number 1. Is what I'm saying.
Anywhere from 3 to like 7.
But listen, look.
3 is who? The Niners would be a nice landing.
At number 1, you have your choice of quarterback. When number 4 rolls around, Saquon is going to be there, and you can still get him.
That's not a guarantee.
Who would take him?
The Giants. We just spoke on it.
The Giants would not take Saquon. The Giants will not draft Saquon.
Who's the number 3 pick?
Write that down.
Who's the number 3?
Will not draft Saquon Barkley.
Who's the number 3 pick?
The Colts. The Colts are number 3, and they will not take Saquon Barkley. They won't. I'm telling you.
Why?
Why would they?
Why?
They don't need to.
They don't need to.
Marlon Mack?
No, I mean they don't need to take a running back. They need.
There are other positions that the Colts need to address.
What other position are you drafting at number 3? Other players are there that's talented enough to be the 3rd overall pick in the like who?
Yeah, but this pass rushing class, I don't know.
Like who? Yeah, like who?
There's one dude from NC State, Bradley Chubb, I believe, is the best pass rusher. And there's a guy from LSU. Those are like the 2 main.
Now, I have talked to a couple Colts fans who would love to have Bradley Chubb. But I don't think Saquon goes 1st, 2nd, or 3rd.
Were these the same Colts fans that thought that Jared Goff was
No, this was not one of those same Colts fans.
Thank goodness, because that guy's an idiot.
Yeah, Jake.
We are talking about you, Jake.
You have the abs. I want to have Jake on one podcast. I'm sitting here thinking about it, just to give us a list of his terrible takes. I want him to get stoned out of his mind first, but I want him to come on here and just give us all his terrible takes.
Jake trash takes.
But you know what? That's a good segment. That'd be a good segment. Jake's trash takes. I like it. So we're all in agreement here. The Browns are not taking Saquon number 1 overall.
No.
I think so.
Me and JR are on the same page here.
So remember this when the draft time comes around. You owe me a drink if I'm right.
If Saquon Barkley gets drafted number 1 overall,
let me hear this.
Then look, write it down. If Saquon Barkley goes number 1 overall, then when we meet up, I will buy you a drink. Okay, I will.
I want something more embarrassing than that.
I'm not gonna agree on anything embarrassing. That I'm not.
Nothing embarrassing for the podcast.
No. I'll admit that I was wrong, but
embarrassing. That's the obvious.
Yeah, well, but it's not gonna happen. So, I mean,
then why are you so worried about doing something embarrassing?
Because I don't do embarrassing things. I might be white, but relax.
You're a walking embarrassment, Glenn.
Alrighty. You're not wrong, but alrighty.
Nah, I'm just messing.
All right. And last thing that we're going to talk about before we end this episode of Don't Shoot the Messenger. LeVar Ball apparently founded the NBA, boys. Is there anything this man can't do?
I'm drinking to that.
I'll drink to that as well. We have to drink to that and keep on drinking.
This guy, a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. He founded the NBA. He got one of his kids to the team he wanted to get him to, and 2 more playing in Europe.
And building his own basketball league.
Big baller brand. That's it. 3 words. Big baller brand.
That's it.
Triple
and
B.
if you don't believe it, you're not a big baller. Straight up.
Shout out to Jake from State Farm with the amazing win. Great playoff college football game.
I'm not drinking to that.
No.
I am not drinking to that.
Oh, what a hater. That was one of the best Rose Bowls in Rose Bowl.
It was don't get me wrong, it was a great game, but Jake Fromm didn't win that game for them. Get out of here.
No, I'm not saying he won it, but
then why are you gonna say shout out to Jake Fromm State Farm winning the game?
No. The quarterback always gets the credit, don't they?
Not in this case.
Well,
no, not in this case. Do we give Blake Bortles credit for what the Jaguars have done this year?
If you're somewhere out there listening, Is it Sony Mitchell? Is it Sonny Mitchell? Is it Michelle? Is it Sony Michael? Is it Sonny Michael? Is it Sony Mitchell?
Is it Sony PlayStation 2?
Answer this, please.
Is it
Sonny Michelle?
I've heard like 8 different ways of saying it since the game.
Yeah, somebody please tell us what the proper pronunciation of it is. Sonny Michelle, if you're listening, how do we say your name?
Sonny Michelle. Same way you said it.
But Georgia's winning the national championship. Who's going to drink
steamrolling those bombs? I'm drinking. I'm getting.
I won't say steamroll. I won't say steamroll, but I'll drink to UGA winning it all.
I'm getting shit faced to that one.
Nice.
I don't think so. Bama's probably going to win.
Nope.
I think so.
No.
You're being a real fucking Debbie Downing, JR.
Yeah, you really are.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that's probably what's going to happen.
No, relax. Look, Bama does this every year. They get a weak schedule, Division II schools, and
they play a team that they're really familiar with.
I didn't hear a word you just said.
I said that they played a team they're really familiar with, and Nick Saban plays Clemson every fucking year. Of course, he knows how to beat them.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that they had boneless Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I mean, crying out loud. Kelly Bryant, come on. You don't trust a grown man named Kelly.
You don't. It's like Leslie. Just don't do that.
Jeez. So, but I mean, Clemson was never. Don't get me. I'm not trying to insult the Clemson fans out there, but let's just be honest. Kelly Bryant was not winning it for Clemson this year. There's no way. There's no way. Going from, I saw a tweet that said, I think it was Skip Bayless. Going from Deshaun Watson to Kelly Bryant is like going from Tom Brady to Tom Savage, and I'm with him.
That sounds about accurate to me.
The one time I'll agree with Skip Bayless, and the only time I'll agree with Skip Bayless. I mean, it's no question in my mind that Bama was going to win that game. But I think that UGA just has way too much firepower. I don't think Bama's going to be ready for it. I think they're going to underestimate him. They're going to, they not just Bama, but their fans just have this idea in their head that they are the greatest gift that God ever gave the world. That they're so incredibly amazing that they're just going to go in and beat Georgia, no questions. And I can't wait for Georgia to slap them around and give them that wake up call. I can't wait.
How did our predictions go? I think I'm 2 for 2 in the college football playoffs right now.
We all said that Bama was going to win.
That's not true. No. JR definitely.
Did JR pick Clemson?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, I know we picked Bama. Did you pick Clemson or Bama, JR?
Oh, I picked Clemson and Georgia, yeah.
Well.
Wrong. So let's wrap it up by making predictions for the finals. For the national championship.
Georgia wins it.
By a score of
27-24.
Is this going to be a close game, all game, or is there going to be some catching up?
I think it's a back and forth game, and I think it'll come down to probably the final possession. And I think Jalen Hurts throws a costly interception, and Georgia wins it on the final possession. That's my prediction, and I'm sticking to it.
How about you, JR?
Bama by 10.
Sounds like a bunch of bullshit, if you ask me.
Terrible.
I got Georgia 34-24.
Oh, man.
Georgia hangs 34 on Bama?
34. Each halfback with 2 touchdowns.
Yikes. I think one of them has a good game. Now, which one we've yet to see, but I think one of them has a good game.
Nick Chubb is going to ball out 150-plus yards in 2.
All right, well, that is the end of this episode of Don't Shoot the Messenger. Hopefully next episode we can get Sauce back on here. It just doesn't feel right without him here.
And moved on.
Stop it. We're going to try.
Academy.
He's what?
Probably at the academy.
Nah, he's not there yet.